Hey there, let me ask you something. Do you ever feel like you're pouring all this time, money, and just a ton of energy into your business, but at the end of the day you're left wondering, is any of this actually working? Well, if you do, trust me, you are not alone. It's a huge question for so many businesses.
It's such a common feeling, right? Kind of like you're just throwing spaghetti at the wall, really hoping that anything sticks. But here's the thing. Without a clear way to measure what's happening, you're basically flying blind. And that means you're risking wasted cash and missing out on some seriously big opportunities.
So what does flying blind really feel like in practice? It's when you've got a marketing plan, sure, but no real clue if it's bringing customers in the door. You're spending, you're busy, but you just can't connect it to the results. We are going to change that, starting right now. Let's build a real roadmap so you can go from just guessing to actually growing.
To find your way, you obviously need a compass. And the old way of looking at numbers, in their own little boxes, it just doesn't cut it anymore. Real success, the kind that lasts, comes from seeing how every single part of your business, from finance to sales to customer service, all connects and works together. Just picture the old way for a second. Finance only cared about profit. Sales was just chasing sheer volume, and marketing was obsessed with counting leads. Everybody was stuck in their own little world, their own silo. But that is not how your customers see you. Building great relationships involves every single department, so you have to measure your success across that entire customer journey. So with this new holistic view, what's the ultimate goal? What are we aiming for? Well, it all comes down to creating real, sustainable value for your business. We're talking stronger revenue, better profit, and real growth. And we can get there by focusing on 4 key drivers that are all connected. All right, let's break these down. First up, employee value. Happy, engaged employees are absolutely critical. There's even research showing that customers would rather have a problem car with good service than a good car with bad service. Think about that. Next is customer value. This one is huge. The longer a customer stays with you, the more profitable they become. And loyal customers, they refer new business, which is just fantastic. These first 2 directly feed into the next ones, cost reduction and ultimately shareholder value. And speaking of cost reduction, take a look at this. It's a perfect example. A McKinsey study on industrial products found that making a sale online costs less than 1% of that deal's value, but using a traditional sales team out in the field, that could be 20%. Choosing the right channel isn't some small tweak. It can lead to absolutely massive savings. And that brings us to the big one, shareholder value. Now, 5% might not sound like a lot, but listen to this. Just a 5% increase in keeping the customers you already have can dramatically boost your profits. It just goes to show you that some of the biggest wins come from investing in the people who already love what you do. Okay, so we've got our 4 drivers. We know why this matters. But how in the world do you actually measure them? Well, that's where your metrics toolkit comes in. We need to get comfortable with standards, metrics, and most importantly, what we call key performance indicators, or KPIs.
Look, we all track metrics, right? Those numbers that tell us something about a business process. But the real magic happens when you identify your KPIs. A KPI isn't just any old number. It's the one that tells you, without a doubt, if you are winning or losing on a goal that is critical to your business. The trick is choosing the very few that truly matter.
And you can track a few different kinds of these metrics. You've got your strategic ones, which look at the long-term health, like where you stand in the market. Then there are output metrics, which show you how you stack up against your competitors. Are your customer satisfaction scores higher than theirs? And then there are special metrics for specific things, like how sticky your e-commerce site is, or how many leads you're getting from social media. Now, to keep track of all this without going crazy, dashboards are your best friend. They show you your most important data in a really visual way. A lot of them use a super simple traffic light system, green, yellow, or red, to show you instantly if you're on target. This lets you make quick, smart decisions instead of digging through a mountain of reports.
All right, theory is great, but let's see how this all works in the real world. I want you to meet Sarah. She's the owner of a coffee shop called The Daily Grind, and she was super busy, but she wasn't profitable. She actually used this exact framework to totally turn things around.
So Sarah felt like she was running on a hamster wheel. Busy all the time, but the profits just weren't growing. So she started with customer value. She used her loyalty program to see who was coming back and to get their feedback. Next, she took a hard look at her costs. And you know what she found? Her expensive newspaper ads were a total bust, but a targeted social media campaign was bringing in loyal customers for way less money. So she built a simple dashboard on a spreadsheet to track her sales, loyalty signups, and satisfaction scores. By sharing that with her team, she boosted employee value too. And with this clear data, she could finally make smart changes. She shifted her budget, tweaked her menu based on feedback, and you know what? Her business finally started to thrive.
So let's bring this all home. To stop flying blind, you have to adopt that big picture, holistic view. You've got to focus on those 4 interconnected drivers: your employees, your customers, your costs, and your shareholder value. And finally, you have to use the right tools, like dashboards, to turn all that data into actual decisions. Sarah's story is proof that you don't need a massive budget or a whole team of analysts to get started. You can just begin small. So I'll leave you with this question. If you could track just one thing, and track it perfectly, what's the one metric that could change everything for your business? Just thinking about that, well, that's the first step from guessing to growing.